Shalom. First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. A peace and salutation to the Yalat. Now, I was doing a little research, and I came across some information on, how New York was populated and founded. And New York is so-called the Big Apple is the largest city on the East Coast. And then you got Philadelphia and Baltimore, then Washington, then so and so on. But it's the biggest city on the East Coast. Just it's set up. All cities on the East Coast is basically similar. You know, like I'm in Baltimore, and Baltimore is basically set up like New York. Like you got when Esau came over here, and that's what I'm gonna get into too, because the documentary was, giving information on New York, and how the history on New York. As you can see on the screen, it says New York in 1987. And what I noticed, right, it's a nice documentary, But what I noticed is when Esau, so-called white man, when he goes into justifying his history, and when they don't want to talk about the how they got this land, and when they do it, they just if you ain't got the eye to catch it, you will let Esau just deceive you into thinking that, oh, they just came over here, they were great people, not knowing that they came over here and slaughtered the Native Americans. But in the history, when you go to school, you're indoctrinated to learn that the so-called Europeans, which were so-called white people, they came over here, and at that time, when they came over here in like the late 1400s, early 1300s, you got to remember the real history, because they don't teach us in school that we were basically already overthrown, but we were the Israelites. That was our downfall around that time, because we ruled Europe for 1,000 years, and I'm sure some of you guys know about the Moors, but we ruled all over Europe. But the Most High, it was our time to get the punishment of Esau and our captivity, for us to go back into captivity. Because if you think about it, prior to the 1400s, I'm going to say around 1100s, we ruled the whole world, because you had the northern tribe on the western part of the world before Esau came and conquered the Gadites and so on. And then you had the other three tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, over on the eastern world, the old world, which they would call it, ruling Europe. And then we ruled, different parts of West Africa. And you had the crusade, we was all up in Israel as well, and we ruled all the way down to Russia. But that was our time to fall. And Esau got it, and the Most High set Esau up to do it, because we went off. But Esau has to pay, and he doesn't want to pay that tab, because he got it through. He didn't go straight up to war. He got it through deceit. It's not like he went straight up in battle. He got it through deceit. And I'm a play this clip, because it's the way Esau did it. It was kind of smooth how he just went over the history of how the so-called Europeans got this land. And I'm a play it. Here we go, brothers. And it's not gonna be too long of a video. On a spirit, hey, we're gonna go by the spirit, but I'm gonna show you how Esau just how his words, and if you ain't paying no attention, you would think that they just was just smart people, which they are, but that's because the Most High, put him in that position. Okay, I'm gonna play the clip.
Fourth borough is more rural than the other boroughs. It's best known for its ferry ride, a 5-mile trip to Manhattan that still costs a quarter, but is worth much more.
But the borough that means New York to the rest of the world is Manhattan. While the 5 boroughs together comprise New York City, it's the island of Manhattan that we'll explore.
It's a small island, little more than 13 miles long and 2 miles wide at its widest point. But it holds a preeminent place in the world of art, finance, business, media, architecture, fashion, design, and culinary arts. What we now call New York City was inhabited by the Indians in 1609.
See, they're going into the history a little bit. And they weren't Indians. They were the nation of Gad, out of the nation of Israel. Okay.
When Henry Hudson, sailing for the Dutch East India Company, first navigated the river that now bears his...
And all of these, I forgot the name of the scripture offhand, but all of these so-called Edomites' name. So you just see Henry Hudson, the Hudson River. Down here, we all these Edomites name these places that they overthrew us, the Israelites. They name them after them, and it's the scripture that says that, they name their the places after their, the names after them. But let's I'm gonna play the video, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about.
Name.
The first Dutch settlers arrived in 1624 and established a settlement and trading post called New Amsterdam. In 1626, for the equivalent of $24 in goods, Peter Minuit bought Manhattan Island from the Indians in the name of the Dutch West India Company.
I had to stop that. Now, you have to remind you, I watched this documentary maybe about 5 or 6 times. I just like, doing the research. But this time I stopped and I thought, and I said, hold up, that's not making any sense. I know money back then, the the value of the dollar, which they didn't have. I'm sure they didn't have the monies and all the dollar bills set up back then, but the value of the dollar were much. But I'm thinking, like, now the Native Americans were there. Why would they just sell the land for that low of a price? Like Esau just went in there and made a deal with them, like, because history, we did the research, and it's well known that the so-called Europeans, they did not follow one treaty at all throughout this. They didn't honor not one treaty. They defiled every treaty that they ever made with the so-called Native Americans. They didn't follow any treaty. They went against every last one of them. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, the way he said it, it's like, oh yeah, they just went in there and paid 14 and they got a deal. No, they took that land. They might have, man, Esau did some cruddy shit. Esau, the way he said it, you could see the deceit in his lie. How he just, they went in there and they got the whole land for $14, and now it became this great. We all know that they slaughtered the Native Americans and took the land because they didn't follow any other treaties, But the historian, the so-called historian, the one that's commentating on a video, I guess he want to make it, a little bit more watchable to the audience, so he would make it seem like, and that's what they do to history anyway, They paint this big picture that the so-called white man came over here and did a deal with the Native Americans, and they lucked up, But But that was all in the Most High's dealing, you know. Esau got this land by the seat. He got it by the seat. Now, let's play this clip again.
What we now call New York City was inhabited by the Indians in 1609 when Henry Hudson, sailing for the Dutch East India Company, first navigated the river that now bears his name.
The first Dutch settlers arrived in 1624 and established a settlement and trading post called New Amsterdam. In 1626, for the equivalent of $24 in goods, Peter Minuit bought Manhattan Island from the Indians in the name of the Dutch West India Company.
So the Native Americans are just going to get their land up. Oh, we'll take the $24. Somewhere where that whole land, just think about it. That it's a 24, I think she said 2 miles wide. Maybe I forgot the length. I know it was two miles wide. But that whole land of Manhattan, you know, Gad just let somebody come in there and buy it for $21 and some good. That don't make no sense, you know. In other words, they trying to say, oh, the Gadites were that dumb that Esau just went in there and got the deal and got the whole land and kicked them off the land and said, hey, so the Native Americans, so-called Native Americans, Gadites, were dwelling in that land, which is Manhattan. They were dwelling there for I don't know how long, many centuries, going back to I would say more than 2,000 years. You know, and some European came in there and he hustled them out the land. They saw the $21 in the goods and maybe some wine and what it's just bullshit. And anybody that's watching this could understand, I'm sure, have the mindset to understand that's bullshit. But you got to catch it. You got to sit there and catch it and listen to it and see how they break it down, you know? Because if you just watch it, you know, because it took me a couple, I heard it, but it took me I guess the sixth time to realize the catch something. Sometimes it take a while for you to catch something, you know. But I caught that right there. But let's I'm gonna play a little bit of.
More than 100 years later, New York became the capital of New York State and the original capital of the United States of America. It was here in 1789 that George Washington took his first oath of office.
And I want to tell you that New York, in that same land that they so-called got it for $21 and some goods, because the so-called Native Americans weren't. This the way they painting the picture. They weren't that intelligent, so they just packed their bags. Henry Hudson came in there and said, "Hey, I want to buy this whole land, this whole island for $21 and some goods." And so they just said, "Okay, we'll buy it." So the Native Americans just packed up everything and left, and they stamped the what you call it, the state, this for sale. They took the state, sold. You know what I mean? Sold to Henry Hudson. Now you got it. I call it bullshit, you know. And history proves that. Further research. But let's get into these. Oh, and like I was saying, that same island, that's where the southern tribe, and as well as the northern tribe, because they had Native Americans, and that was one of the right there on Wall Street. Before it was Wall Street, it was a big slave quarters, a slave what you call it, a auction. And that's where you get Wall Street at, you know, instead of them, because on Wall Street, you know, we were the goods. They were selling us, you know. That was the main headquarters of the slave trade. The transatlantic slave trade was right there at that island, Manhattan, right on Wall Street. But that's still going on because you got, you know, the stock market right there. But back then, instead of actual tangible goods, we were the goods, so they were selling us, you know. But fast forward today, they selling, it's, we still in slavery because if you got a birth certificate, your birth certificate is on a stock market, so they still exchanging you to this day, you know. It's just corporate, you know. But that's a whole nother video. But let's get, I want to get a scripture. Well, that's the main point, to match the scriptures up. And we're going to show you the deceit, Esau and deceit, the lies, And I'm going to go to Genesis 49. Genesis 49, and we're going to go to 19. And it reads, Gad. Now, this is Genesis 49, the 19th chapter. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. See? So, Gad, we're, and a lot of brothers believe I'm a Gadite, but, long as we're all Israelites, because, the tribe, we'll know what different tribes that each brother from, the specifics, when we get there. But, Gad, hey, Gad is, Gad is going to overcome in the last, But that was just an example of how Esau came and took Gad's land, He just straight took, they try to come in there, the historians try to say that Gad sold it for $21 and some goods. That whole land. So they just packed up. And that was just a nice real estate deal that Henry Hudson got. That's bullshit. But they overcame him. Gad, they got it for now. But Gad is gonna get the last laugh. What they say, good guys finish last. And that's true. We're gonna go to Psalms 55. And we're going to go to 21. And it reads, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. See? So Esau came in there. He probably had his hand behind his back. Probably. I said probably. Well, he did. Esau came in there. And as you can see, they made multiple movies on it. Historians. Evidence to this day lets you know that the so-called Edomites, so-called white man, took over this land and double-crossed Gad, stabbed Gad in the back. And if it wasn't for the Gadites, the so-called Native Americans, so-called Native Americans, would Esau wouldn't have been able to sustain himself, But they came over here let's read this let's read the scripture. Psalms 55:21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Yeah, so he had a smooth, how Esau talked with the soft voice. Hey, I'm not your enemy. I'm your friend. I got black friends. But then you go to turn your back, he pull out that dagger. And then you didn't turn your back, so he got the advantage on you. So by the time you know it, you blacked out. You going down, and Esau won. But Esau didn't. Esau won temporarily, because in chess, the game of chess, when a lot of times you have to give up the pawns to get to the king, to get to the main object. You have to sacrifice some of your men, But in the long run, the main thing is to win the game and have your king standing and at last, Because the rule of the game is whoever's get the king wins, But like I said, that's how the game goes. Some of the players on your side is going to have to lose out in order for you to win. So we could apply that to to our situation. Jacob versus Esau. A lot of us went down. Went down plenty of times. Came back up. Went down. Came back up. But the Most High is with us in the long run. You know, and we're basically the news casters. You know, we're spreading the word. You know, we're the prophets to say before. We saying this before it happens. You know, his words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they draw a sword. So Esau, yeah, he got that dagger. You know, let's go to Micah. Let's go to Micah, and we're gonna go to the second chapter, and we're gonna go with verse 1, and it reads, "Woe to them that devise in iniquity." So, like, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. You see. So the Lord said, "Woe, destruction," and woe means destruction. You're gonna get destroyed, Esau, for the things you did. Because you light. Well, you're on the left hand side. You're Satan's children, so you it's embedded in you. In other words, you sleep with this, you practice this. There's witchcraft, there's wickedness. That's all you, buddy. Let's go. We're gonna go with Second Thessalonians, and we're gonna go with the second chapter, and we're gonna read a little bit because this one explains Esau to the T. This is Second Thessalonians chapter 2 verses 4. We're gonna start at 4, and it reads, okay, I'll start at 3. And it reads, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for the day shall not come except there come a falling away first." And we had to fall away. The Israelites in general, the 12 tribes, we all had to fall away because the punishment came upon us, and we all forgot who we were at one point. I mean, before we came in the truth, we thought we were just black. We thought we were just niggers and Native Americans and Puerto Ricans. We thought we were Jamaican. We thought we were, oh yeah, I'm Egyptian. Because some brothers was Muslims, some brothers were Jehovah's Witnesses, some brothers were into Egyptology. So it was a falling away. It says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for the day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." Yeah, we didn't know the white man was the devil at one time. Esau, we thought he was just Jesus and God and all that. I know I recall I'll be watching Apostle Tahar videos, and he says that back in the day, a lot of people, and I know myself, I watched it too. The what's it called? The Ten Commandments, and everybody on they were all white, and you thought that all of the Israelites were white, and you thought Jesus was white, you thought Moses was white. I myself, I had grew up as my parents were Jehovah's Witnesses, and we used to look in the books, and there was a book called My Book of Bible Stories when you coming up and you learning Bible stories, and you thinking it's the white people's, but because all of the characters in there are white. So that's the first thing. And I know I used to ask my mom, I used to say, oh, so Israel's, because I, used to study maps. Israel is right by Africa. They weren't black. Jesus wasn't black. I used to say that, but the response is, no, they were Middle Eastern. They were, so, we getting the truth, This is verse 4. It reads, "Who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called Yahweh, or that is worshipped, so that he, as Yahweh, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is Yahweh, or God, the power, trying to be like the Most High, you know. And that's Esau all day. Esau tries to be like the Most High. He you know, because he want to conquer and kill everything, you know. But the Most High is about life, you know. Yahweh Shah is about life. He's not about death. That's all Esau is about, death, you know. Okay, remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, you know, and know ye what withhold that he might be revealed in this time. So yeah, he's being revealed. Everybody now these days know about Esau now. Know that the white man is so called the devil. Know that even the Arabs, they know that, you know, the other nations, you know. But that's all I got for brothers right now. This is a Sean coming at you once again from the Baltimore branch of GMS. I hope this was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem, Hawashah, Bahashem, Rakak with us, Mawaf, La Babal. Shalom.